get this.
10 seconds.
Ray is still
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thunderbirds are go.
Okay.
I am here.
Oh, he is there. Right, we're live. So, hello everybody. Welcome to Smack Talk. For none of you that are here yet, because we've only just turned up. So, this is going to be so weird. Long and the short of it, this is the third roundtable, fans roundtable indeed, and this is the first ever live one. So we don't know what the hell's going to happen. Generally speaking, it's usually a case of spinning a wheel, which is not rigged, to determine who brings their topic to the table first. So without further ado, let's get the graphic out the way and bring up this screen, which should be showing everybody the wheel of doom with everyone's name on it. I should introduce my guests as well. First and foremost, Mr. FowlOriginal of the FowlOriginal. Hello. FowlOriginal Wrestling Podcast, and you have told us off air that you are pretty much pissed.
I'm pretty drunk right now, folks. Me and my little brother are drunk as hell, and I'm walking through a park somewhere in London town. And thank you very much for inviting me on the show.
Yeah, no worries, buddy. I can hear the birds singing in the background and the vomit slowly stirring in your stomach. So that's all good.
Oh yeah.
And
That's what happens when you drink that many gin and tonics.
Oh, not gin and tonics.
Real ale.
Mother's
and
ruin.
then mixing it with real ale.
Oh, you fool.
Mother's
you fool.
ruin.
Rookie mistake.
I know.
So the next to... Jesus Christ, you're walking through a hurricane. Next to you, we have Mort of the Did You Write This Stuff Bro podcast. Hello, Mort. Hello, Mort.
Hello, sorry about
there he is.
My Wi-Fi took a quick time, which it tends to do, unfortunately.
I don't want to know what you did with your wife quickly there, but still. Let's move on from that. Hey, here he goes. Let's move on from that very fast. God. Fowl is...
Jesus, I'm sorry, folks. I'm walking through a goddamn hurricane. I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ. Right. We're muting him for a minute so we can get the intros done. Next to Mort is Mr. 8-Bit Ray of the Gorilla Brain podcast. Hello, buddy. Welcome back.
What is going on? I am not walking through a park.
Excellent. That's what we like to hear. Dear God, that was something. Wow. How have you been, man? Hello? Oh, God, what's going on now? God, you love live entertainment. Oh, no, he's still in it. We've lost 8-Bit Ray, who's clicking at us.
I'm going to be honest, I can't hear a word. All I hear is wind blowing.
Excellent.
Yeah, all I hear is Fowl's line.
Okay, so you should be able to turn him down. Each individual user has a volume. If you go on them, you should be able to turn his volume down if you need to.
So, folks.
Oh dear, yeah, he is. That seems a bit better now. I've unmuted you, Fowl. You're back.
In there. Thanks, dudes.
No
yeah, so I'm getting through this. Don't worry, if you need to mute me. It's totally fine.
Cool. This could be fun. Right. Okay, so let's get to the nitty gritty of this thing. If I can get this bloody thing to work. Where's my interact window gone? I've lost my interact window. Shit. Okay, so the idea is we have a wheel, which I've mentioned. There it is. And for each of you, you've all brought a topic. I'll spin the wheel. Whoever comes up on the wheel first will bring their topic to the table. We'll discuss it, and then so on and so forth until we run out of people on the wheel. It's really simple. What could possibly go wrong with this thing?
I don't know. You could be walking through a park.
Could be walking through a
No!
park. Oh
Look,
dear.
Fowl thought this was at 8 o'clock. Yeah, Fowl would have been ready at home at 8 o'clock. But yo,
Fowl refers to himself in the third person as well, which is really weird.
So does Mort on occasion.
Oh, good.
I have to, because otherwise I'd say my real name, because Fowl is drunk.
Okay, well, Fowl is drunk. So, also what I should point out is, being as this is live, we do have the live comments on YouTube as well. So if anyone wants to join in, throw some topics at us to discuss, if we run short on time or whatever, or if you just want to chip in with your ideas on the topics we're talking about, please do so in the comments. So is everybody ready? Should we get spinning that wheel?
Sure.
Spin that wheel.
Spin that, DJ.
All right. Here it goes. You can't see it, but I can. So the beauty.
I am watching you through a camera.
That's terrifying. Right, 8-Bit Ray, you're up.
All right. So the question I have is, how long do you think the 24/7 title will last? And a second question is it a way for R-Truth to retire?
Oh, interesting.
Hmm.
Who wants to take that one on first?
Do you mind if I take it?
Please do. You're drunk.
Thank you very much. So the 24/7 title, that's a really interesting way to think of it, right? I mean, no, I'm not that drunk. So the 24/7 title is I think that it's probably one of the smartest things that the WWE have done recently. I think that it's probably the best way to take advantage of the billion social media followers that they have. And those numbers are high. The whole, is it a good way to retire R-Truth? I think that's really smart. I think that's a really smart way to let him dovetail his career. And because it's amazing, he's getting massive views. And the only thing I worry about is Vince McMahon still laughing at this? And will he get bored of this in a few weeks? Because he loves R-Truth, or so I've heard.
Fair question.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's a great way for him to retire.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think he's got a lot left in the tank still. I imagine it will probably run up till next WrestleMania, because WWE believes we all have ridiculously short attention spans and can't concentrate on anything for longer than a chimp with a crayon. Suffice it to say, I think you're quite right. It's the most entertaining stuff they've had on the show, and probably the only reason worth watching. But the beauty of it is you don't have to watch the other 2.5 million hour worth of crap, because you can go on their social media, you can go on their YouTube channel and just catch all the highlights. So for me, as someone who likes to watch a lot of wrestling across multiple promotions, having to sit through 2 billion hours of Raw is ridiculous. So I just think, well, screw it. I won't watch Raw. I won't watch SmackDown. I'll go on their YouTube, catch up on the highlights of the 24/7 title and a bit of Firefly Funhouse, and that'll do me. So it's genius in that sense. I wondered whether or not it would need the hardcore element, but they've actually done it so well without it, and R-Truth's been absolute gold. They didn't need it. They didn't need the weapons stuff. Maybe it would help it occasionally.
Who else could pull it off though, Rich? R-Truth and who else? Bray Wyatt? I don't think so.
Nah, Wyatt's not.
I
right
want
for
Bray
it.
Wyatt as far away from this gimmick as possible.
You said it. Yeah, totally right. I think R-Truth. I think Drake Maverick was a perfect foil. I think bringing him into it is great. Guys like your Heath Slaters and all, they've put the right people in. I just don't agree with EC3 being lumbered on it. He looks so
what is in that
miserable. Cup? That's the same shit that's in that cup that you've been drinking, I reckon.
Is it just Smart? Is it Smark's Tears? Because I had a cocktail called Smark's Tears earlier on.
Amazing.
And it was really nice, but it was really bitter. Like, it was a bit annoying.
So there you go. But yeah, in terms of how long it will last, I think probably till WrestleMania at most, because they don't believe we can watch things for very long. And yeah, I do think it's probably a way for him to retire. So that's my 6 dozen eggs on it. More?
But yeah, I think it'll last as long as the cop-out answer is it'll last as long as Vince McMahon is entertained by it. And R-Truth has maybe 2-3 years of full-time on the main roster, so give it 2 years maybe, and then it'll disappear.
As long as that.
And I see when R-Truth retires, it's gonna be him with the championship.
You're giving it longer than the light heavyweight title?
Yep.
Wow.
Wow.
The question is when is Billy Kidman going to take this title? And you know, he needs to at some point. That shooting star press ain't, we're never going to quit.
What about Hornswoggle taking it?
Oh no.
Oh, I like that actually. Hornswoggle could be the last ever light heavyweight champion and the last ever 24/7 champion.
I think I need to be drunk for this.
You can call him Swaggy Two Belts.
Oh my
God.
Put that on a shirt, please. I'll buy it.
Right,
I'll try.
Do you know what? I'm literally doing it now. It will be up on Smack Talk later tonight.
all right. So I get at least 10 cents from every sale, please.
That's more than
Just
I
10
fucking
cents.
get. So.
Because that's probably what you're going to make on the shirt, to be honest. But you're welcome.
No, I usually make a loss on these things because I'm great. So we reckon. I mean, Ray, you haven't really brought any of your own topic in other than pitching it. So what do you think? Like, do you think he'll retire with the belt, or how do you see it going down?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. There's wind in my ear.
Excellent.
Oh, there's wind in my whole face, guys. Come on, like hardcore.
Yeah. What do you? This is so bad. What do you think will happen? Okay, you're literally blowing into your own microphone at this point, aren't you, Fowl? So I'm going to mute your ass. Right, Fowl's gone. There should be no more wind, for me at least. I guess the rest of you will be able to hear him. What do you think will happen with Truth and the 24/7 title? Ray, how do you think it will go down?
I think that the title will last just a couple of months. I honestly, once the ha-has are over from Vince McMahon, it's gonna just go away. It's not a serious title. I mean, there aren't even nameplates on the side of the belt. It's just a it's just a piece of metal on a strap. It means nothing. It barely has a design. It has 24/7.
Right.
There was no thought put into this title at all. This was just to get TV time out of talent. Like, oh, whatever happened to EC3? Oh, well, he's chasing around the 24/7 title.
Yeah.
And not just in catering.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's not even a good way of exposing wrestlers. It's just it's just entertainment value. It's just clickbait. I mean, that's all it is.
That's pretty
I mean,
fair.
it's entertaining. I will give it that. It is entertaining. I have my doubts when they first introduced that awfully ugly title. I have my doubts, but I'm entertained by it, so I'm starting to come around to it, but it'll never be defended on like a pay-per-view seriously.
Yeah, that's
it's
fair.
not a serious title, man. It's for the kids.
We've got sorry, man. We've got Martin Lemus in the chat who's just said that he thinks that the belt will just dissolve. So I don't know whether he means that it will just fade away into obscurity or whether it will literally dissolve into nothingness on screen, like Thanos clicking his fingers and half the population of the universe goes away.
Is there a Wizard of Oz connection with this belt? I didn't realise.
Or maybe, yeah, maybe they all go trotting off down the yellow brick jobber road and end up at like the Emerald Impact Wrestling Palace. But
I was going to say, I think the end of that road is Impact Wrestling, so I wouldn't want to go down that road. It's a killer cross.
Oh, nice segue into nothing.
Thank you very much.
He's a scary dude. Just FYI.
He is, isn't he?
Great.
Like, I love his whole passion. I love his passion for the business, and I love the fact that he knows his worth.
Yeah.
Like, he knows that he's better than Impact. And I mean, there's a lot of people that can say that. I mean, all of us in the planet Earth, but he can say it with like conviction.
I just think that Impact has been doing some really solid work lately, and no one's really given them the credit they deserve. Like, despite all the political stuff, the machinations of contracts and all that they are doing really good work. And I watched this week's Impact literally about an hour before we came onto this thing, and was blown away by it. Really enjoying the product.
I watched the week Tessa Blanchard went up against Disco Inferno, and Tessa Blanchard beat the crap out of him. I remember watching that with one of my mates who's a lapsed fan, and he loved it. He absolutely loved it. And I remember just saying, well, it's on 5-star. Shall we just like watch half an hour of it? It is kind of my job, and there's no excuse then. And then he was like, it's really good. That Tessa Blanchard chick is actually pretty kick-ass.
This is an interesting point as well. Martin Lemus has just...
I watched it on Twitch a couple of weeks ago when it was Michael Elgin versus Rich Swann. Love that match.
Sorry,
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're all right, buddy. I was just going to go back to the chat here because Martin Lemus has come back in with the 24/7 belt is all Impact Wrestling guys. Maverick, Truth, EC3. Because Truth was obviously Ron Killings over in Impact. Although he was K-Quick in WWE before that, so I'd say he was WWE before he was Impact or TNA. But thought someone else was in then. Suddenly we
All
had
right,
another
wait, do you want to
voice.
say? Actually, wait, do you want to say hello? So I don't know if they can hear you through it, but I'm walking through London, as I said. There's some dude that's just met us, knows my brother. Say hello.
Hi.
Oh,
I
hello,
don't know if you can
hello
hear that.
stranger.
Good evening.
Who are you?
Yeah, you're live on the Smack Talk podcast. What's your name?
Cool. Luke.
Hello, Luke. So what do you think about the 24/7 title, Luke?
Yeah, what do you think about the 24/7 title?
Oh, well.
Thanks for joining.
Right, yeah.
Thanks for joining.
Excellent. Is Luke
Sorry,
drunk?
segues, folks.
Is Luke drunk as
Luke's
well?
as drunk as we are.
Excellent.
Yeah, we just met him in a drunken haze walking through London town.
Nice. This is-
Anyway, yeah.
Oh boy. Right. Yeah. That's.
Sorry, folks.
No. It's all entertainment, folks. So cool. Well, I think we've probably exhausted that little nugget of joy. So should we spin the wheel again?
Yeah.
Sure. Spin that shit.
Shit is spinning. It's good shit.
That's good shit, pal.
God damn it, pal.
That's good.
Speaking
That's good shit.
It's such good shit. Speaking of such good shit, Mort, it's your turn.
How many matches will it take for them to fuck up this new Bray Wyatt character?
1. Done. Right, there we go.
Really? You don't think...
Sorry, I got way into that. I should clarify. I feel like he should not wrestle for at least a year. Not because I don't like his wrestling. I think he's a fantastic talent. But moreover, and I said this with Jim Corderis the other day, I think his gimmick is such that they should have him stalking wrestlers and kind of like stealing from their bags and things like this without knowing about it, with no reference made to it other than the wrestler themselves going, like, say he steals Lana's boot or something and she's like, hey Rusev, have you taken my boot? And he's like, what do you mean, why would I take your boot? You're my wife, I don't need to take your boot. And like they're arguing about it. A couple of weeks later you see the boot on the windowsill in the Firefly Funhouse and no one says a word about it. Stuff like
I
that.
love it.
Ah, that's awesome.
So then you build it up and eventually he focuses on like Seth Rollins and he steals the Universal title belt. And he's there in the mask and all the gimmick, you know, in the Fiend gimmick. And he's holding the title up and he's just like, Seth, you want this back? Come and get it. You know, and just like, they build to this match. And it just makes sense to me to build him up as this creepy, sinister, like in the background guy. And the only time he wrestles is for the title. Do you know what I mean? Like to give him
I can definitely
purpose.
see that.
Martin Lemus is still in the chat, and he says none. He says none. They've already begun overexposing him, so he reckons no matches at all, and that Bray Wyatt's overexposed. Who wants to take that on and throw their ideas into the hat? Don't all rush at once.
No, you know, I'm gonna jump in on that if anyone else doesn't want to.
Go for it.
Go ahead.
So I think the fact that so number one, yeah, Bray Wyatt has been not overexposed. I don't feel that. I feel like he's just.
Oh, he's just.
We lost Fowl.
He's just gone. Is what's happened.
Fowl down.
Fowler's been overexposed and is now missing in action. 8-Bit Ray, would you like to take Fowl's place for the moment?
Yeah, you want me to yell like a drunken idiot?
If you like.
Right amount. So he's just got the right amount of his. We're not all we're saying is kind of give us a taste. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't actually happening inside of it. And he can be almost a figure geeks wrestling. I like the idea of him taking titles, you know, and like holding onto the title. Fowler's a little bit drunk, but I really I love the Firefly Funhouse. I think that it's the best. That's the big thing.
Right. I'm going grayer by the minute here. Yeah. Sorry, that was so surreal. And you came back echoing, so it was like you were in some sort of toilet or something.
Oh no, I walked back into a house.
Oh.
So as I
He's
said,
in
I
the
was walking back to the
Firefly
8 o'clock. I'm in the Firefly Funhouse. Don't let me out because, you know, those who leave, etc., etc.
They don't let you out. They let you in.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
Well, someone's, yeah. I really, to be honest, I really love the idea of Bray Wyatt wrestling, but I think the second he has his first match, he'll be exposed.
right.
I don't say that in a harsh way. I say that in a kind of, we love the fact that he hasn't wrestled yet, the day that he has his first match, everyone's eyes will be on it. And if he doesn't win, what was this all for?
Mm.
And I agree. He has to win the first match. And the thing that's been brought up specifically on Twitter lately is Bray Wyatt versus Aleister Black,
Yeah.
because it almost seems like they've been talking to each other, almost. But that can't be their first feud in these current characters, because one's inevitably going to be damaged, and I don't want either of these guys damaged. If you do go down for that feud, I want that built up for at least 6 months,
Right.
minimum.
So, Ray, you were talking before Piss Boy came back in, and do you want to throw yours in?
So the question was, how many matches to overexpose him?
Yes.
Yep.
It depends. Honestly, I think that if he comes back as Bray Wyatt with a new skin, it's the same in-ring style. If he changes it up, starts doing different things, like a completely new character, I could see that working, and then it would be a whole new character. It wouldn't be overexposing just Bray Wyatt. So, and the only way to make it that it would work is if he would do something spectacular, like he would defeat the Demon, because he has the Fiend. If the Fiend beat the Demon, that would be something huge. No one's beaten the Demon, not even in NXT, not in WWE, no one. So for the Fiend to come in and make that kind of an impact, that speaks volumes. That would elevate that character to the top. And then
I can see that.
I just don't see them throwing him in with a Roman Reigns or a Seth Rollins right off the bat, and I don't see him, jobbing out, EC3 as a victim. I just, they need to put him in a good place with someone that can work with his style effectively and completely change his style. He needs something new.
As far as Bray Wyatt in ring prior to the Fiend, really the only thing that I want to see left from that is the spider walk, but everything else I want changed up.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think you're absolutely spot on that he does need that new style, and it's got to be new feuds for me too. Like, he can't be just chasing the same people. Like, we had the Roman Reigns thing, we had the Daniel Bryan thing. You need something fresh, and WWE and fresh don't really go together. So I kind of feel like they're gonna screw the pooch on this one and just, book him in the same old crap and not think it through enough. There's already. Sorry, go on.
I was going to ask, what do you feel that his upper limit is? What do you feel like Bray Wyatt's current incarnation of the character? Where do you think that he could go to the Universal Championship? I know you said that, but do you think that he'd be a really good mid-card hand, or does he have to go straight to the main event and just kill it?
I think you need to set a precedent. I think if you've got a chance to bring someone in on, that's been there before, but as a fresh gimmick, and the whole thing, I mean, Austin alluded to it on his podcast and things like that. If you're not in the business to be the top champion, you're in the wrong business. So if he's not gunning for the main title on the show he's on, what's the point? Yeah. His Fiend gimmick is hungry. It's violent. It's, if he turned out and went, I really want to be the 24/7 champion, then it's dead.
I'd be done.
Yeah, it's dead straight away. If he comes in and even aims at the US title or the, I say it, even the Intercontinental title, it's tepid. He's got to go for the big guy straight away. Whoever's on top, let it be Lesnar. That would be insane. Like, if that Fiend came in and just destroyed Lesnar, instant heat, instant over, like, no trouble at all.
Right, and I think the only way you could do the Fiend going after a secondary title is if that holder was somebody of the caliber of a John Cena.
Maybe. I don't
even think beating John Cena at this point would get the Fiend over. Honestly, it's been done. John Cena's been cannon fodder for what, 2 years now? Since he took the part-time. I mean, it's nothing anymore. The Undertaker beat him in like a minute and a half. Who cares? I mean, it's nice to see John Cena, but who cares? It's just John Cena.
I think what it alludes
my major thing with the
Fiend,
I was saying my major thing with the Fiend is that like, how do you do that week by week? You have a WWE or Universal Champion that doesn't exist except for small segments every single week. Like, do you have someone invade the Funhouse to then come in and say, "I'm going to take your title," or does I always see it kind of like as a Phantom Zone style situation, Superman 2 style. So whoever gets into the Funhouse, like they're in this little pocket dimension that no one else can touch, and
No,
he just leaves
they,
them in the.
they need to keep Bray Wyatt as far away from house matches as possible.
Yes.
We all
Yeah.
saw the horror that was.
Mm.
Let's not go back.
I think personally that the Funhouse is all in his head. I think it's imaginary, so I don't think
Right.
it's a place that people can go. I think it's literally his own creation, and it doesn't exist.
Right, and like we've posited on the DYWTSB podcast, all of the characters that we've seen in the Funhouse are variations of the Bray Wyatt character and his different personalities.
Yeah,
Right.
they're
He's even admitted that he used to be a bad person, an evil person. You know, he's admitted to it.
Yeah.
yeah. It's interesting.
I mean, the whole idea. Sorry.
That's all right, mate.
No, as I say, the whole idea of him existing in this kind of thing outside of the WWE, like everything exists outside of the WWE. He makes mention to it. I love the Husky Harris thing. I loved that whole, like, I loved that some of his Husker stuff. It was so on the nose. Like,
I think
it's
it was
perfect.
I didn't like it personally. I thought it was cheesy. I think you need to leave that stuff behind. Like, yeah, okay, it's parts of his personality, but the whole dancing gimmick and the fitness thing was cheap as hell. And you're taking something that is really like dark and twisted and turning it into kids shit again. And I know it's such good shit, but the puppet Vince McMahon sticking its head round the door with Satan's horns on it and shit like that. It's just so played out, you know?
I mean, I was going to ask you guys this actually, because this is a question that I was kind of positing for a long time, which is, do you think this was all recorded in advance, or do you think that that's because this week's the whole Japanese thing? Maybe it could have been recorded a while ago, but I felt that was quite fresh.
I don't think they need to record it that far in advance. Purely I think they could be recording them on the day of Raw. Personally, because it's not major production value, and I mean, you know, any schmuck in their bedroom can smash out a video in a day. But sorry, I'm taking shots at myself here, and most of all of us.
You're taking shots at all of us. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
That's fine. We all do it. But do you know what I mean? Like, if we can be doing stuff like this, just on our own backs, you know, and just kind of enjoying ourselves, then WWE, with all their money and production value, can turn out a video like that in a day. Easy. So, you know, they can be self-referential and all that stuff every week, right up to the minute. I just think, you know, you gotta be careful with it, because it's not satire. It's a person's gimmick, you know? And
Right.
if he's just going to be a satirical character that just that uses this segment to take pot shots, or sorry, I should say WWE use his segment to take pot shots, it's going to be, you may as well be looking at things like the Voodoo Kin Mafia from TNA, or, you know, what was the WCW one where they took the piss out of it? Do you know what I mean?
The Nacho Man. And
yeah, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It may as well be that. Or, you know, Monday NyQuil that ECW did.
But you know what? It's at the same time, I think that it's really close to, you know what? Like, I kind of mention it, but it's not similar. Is The Miz? You know, when The Miz was host of SmackDown, and he was like the host of SmackDown, and he'd be like, "Hey, yeah, I'm the host of SmackDown. Let's tell you what's happening tonight." He could almost work in that kind of vein. Like, I saw something similar with what was happening with Elias. Like, they did it the first week that the new creative were in charge, and they had Elias as connective tissue. They had him as, "Hey, so next up we're going to have this thing. I hate them. That's why," etc. And he worked as a connective tissue. You could have Bray Wyatt as, like, introduce the show, and then every now and then just pop up and go. I don't want him to become the crypt keeper, though.
Yeah.
And I think that it's really close.
I think
it's like
the best person for that was Bad News Barrett.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
that was great. If you're going to take pot shots, bring him back. My God. Well, that one when he was up on his massive podium taking the piss out of the Miz and who was he in the ring with? Was it oh God. There you go. That shows you how good that match was, because I literally was it Tyrus or someone like that,
I think so.
or whatever he was.
Feels like it.
Yeah, somebody. It was absolutely brilliant. And I think that's, if you're going to have a satire thing, it should be that. But Bray Wyatt needs to be this dark character. I'll tell you what, just segue in a minute. I've noticed that 8-Bit Ray is uncharacteristically quiet.
Very uncharacteristically.
What's up, dude? You're very quiet in the background.
Oh, I'm not. I'm enjoying the conversation while
Ah.
drinking Dust said iced coffee.
Iced coffee.
Oh yeah.
Nice. Very metropolitan,
But I
of you,
mean,
sir.
if you want to give me another question, I could bring up another topic. I've got many.
So you thinking spin the wheel again?
I'm thinking just give me Fowl's turn.
Oh.
Fowl's drunk. He's not stupid.
Why not? Why not? I'm gonna steal his spotlight. Now I'm gonna steal his question. So okay. So
Oh.
I'm just kidding,
Do it,
Fowl. I
do
love
it.
you. I know you're gonna listen back to this. I love you.
I love
Oh.
you too, 8-Bit Ray. I'm
Oh,
drunk.
God.
I'm drunk, but believe me, I'm totally cogent here.
I'm spinning the wheel before this takes a turn. Fowl, it's your turn.
Was that a pun? Was that a segue? I'm gonna spin this wheel before it takes a turn. Wait, are you?
Did I pun?
Jenny?
What's up?
Jenny Powell?
No.
Have someone found Jenny? Have you found Jenny Powell in London?
I mean, if I'd found Jenny Powell right now, she'd be spinning the wheel for you. But no, I haven't found Jenny Powell, unfortunately.
Oh, that's a shame. I just lost the entire thread of that. It's your turn, by the way. So if you'd like to posit your topic.
Oh, is it? Ew. So my topic for this show would be, and I know that probably other people have got it, but Mox, what do you? So number one, I'd like to ask. Moxley has yesterday, the Queen of Any saw him at a smaller show, at like almost like it was him versus Darby Allin in this very small match.
Mhm.
And I was going to ask, do you think that the way that Moxley has treated his exit from the WWE and his entrance into the Indies as the way that you need to do it now? Because he was very smart with social media and with the way he's presented himself. Do you think that that's the prototype? Pun intended.
I think he's following in the Cody footsteps. If you remember when Cody left, he kept posting that list of all the wrestlers that he wanted to wrestle, and that got hype. That got everybody interested in what he, wanted to do outside of the WWE. So that drew up a lot of interest. Next thing you know, he's in Ring of Honor, he's in Impact, he's over in Japan. So I kind of feel like Moxley is kind of following those footsteps. So yeah, I think it's the perfect way to do it. If you're gonna show up at AEW at a big show, sellout show, and then you're gonna show up at a 200 person house gymnasium, I think that's awesome. And you don't know where he could pop up, and that's the way it should be. It should be excitement. It's not just, hey, Moxley's showing up, gonna do some autographs, and he might wrestle somebody maybe. So he showed up at a show with the fucking Boogeyman. Come on, the Boogeyman. Bro. So that means he will work with anybody. Yeah, but I mean, I think he's doing it right, man. He's doing it. And now he's U.S. champ over in Japan, and that's awesome. And hopefully, that brings a gap like to New Japan. I know they said they wouldn't work together, but I kind of see it going the other way because Ring of Honor, since a lot of their top stars got purged, has gone downhill in quality.
Mm.
When you have Matt, and this isn't a slight against Matt Taven. I love Matt Taven, but to have Matt Taven as the world champion because you got nobody else. You got Jay Lethal, and that's it. I mean, that's your top dog right there is Jay Lethal. And, so if, that relation, like, their viewership is dropping or whatever, New Japan is going to want to stay relevant. They're going to want to be with the next hottest thing, and that is AEW. I mean, wouldn't you want to be? I mean, if you're trying to push your product on the U.S. market, what better than AEW? People in that company you have a very good relationship with, much better than the people at Sinclair. So what are you going to do? You're going to slightly move on. So I think this is a gapping bridge to AEW New Japan.
The reason was going to be. Thank you very much for that drink. Someone just gave me a drink.
Oh.
Oh no! So
Do not give that man a
something-
drink.
It's my brother. It's okay. He knows.
You're
But
cut off,
then-
Fowl.
Yeah, but
Brother-
what I was going to say is one
Brother
thing.
Fowl.
Yeah, brother Fowl. He's a brother of Fowl. You might have seen him on my Instagram very briefly. I was going to say that the one thing that I love about Moxley is that one video he has with Shota and with Red Shoe's son. That got like
Shota Umino.
3 million views.
That was
And
hilarious.
then Kenta came out, and that's like 20,000 views. So
Yeah.
they know that he's money, and he knows that he's money. So do you think that this is the best way to work? I think that no one else has done it as smartly as Moxley has.
I honestly do believe that this era, with everything going on with social media, with YouTube, with all that stuff, is so much more what's the word I want to look for? Amazing than back in the day, like with WCW, WWF, where someone would leave one company and as far as the fan was concerned, they were dead because you literally had no idea where they'd gone. Now you get everyone's contract negotiations, you get, 20 possibilities of where they could go, you've got all the independents, you've got everything. So if people use it right, and have that name power, like a Jon Moxley. I mean, he made no secret of his past in CZW, in, the Indies when he was pre-WWE. Made a massive name for himself in WWE. Didn't even need to transition that name out of WWE. That's the crazy part, is he's so well known, so recognisable as himself. He can turn around and go, I'm Jon Moxley, this is the real me. And people will eat it up. And the beauty of it too is the fact that he can go to New Japan and wrestle and win a championship and it's believable. And then cut this incredible backstage promo with Shota Umino, who, by the way, I still think is going to be a megastar within the next 5 years. He's doing everything right. Going to the AEW point, you've got Jon Moxley turning up in New Japan and holding a title belt. You've got Jericho having matches with Naito and Okada and, a who's who of New Japan stars. The relationships there with Cody, with Kenny, with the Bucks. An AEW crossover is, if it doesn't happen, someone's doing their job wrong and needs to get fired, frankly. Because it makes more sense than anything. So, your original question was, is that the template for people leaving WWE? I think. Is that right, Phil?
Yes, it is. Sorry, I'm just walking around the house, so you might notice.
Sounds like you were down a mine shaft.
Oh, I'm ran loads of shafts.
Oh, God. Yeah, so in terms of the template for leaving, I don't think there is a template. I think you just need to be yourself, promote yourself as the character you feel you are best suited to, and just go with it. And if people are interested in you as a wrestler, they will follow you. That's all I can really say about it.
I can definitely see where you're going there, Rich, but I can also see Ray's point with New Japan and AEW, because their relationship with ROH really didn't work for somebody like myself, for the simple fact that where I am, there are no Sinclair channels, where I already have TNT. So that's going to benefit people like myself who don't have to go searching. I already have TNT and had to jump through a bunch of hoops to hope to have a Sinclair channel.
Right. So that's
sorry, go on. But as far as Fowl's original question, is it the template? I mean, I think it's the basis of it, but you also have to take into your own, like you were saying, your own individual character and figure out how the Moxley template can work for you, or if it will.
I think so. I think it's Sorry, go on, Ray.
I was gonna say it's a much different thing than like when Sean Spears left. People are still doing 10. Sure.
Yeah.
But John Moxley, Dean Ambrose, whatever you want to call him, was a different kind of superstar. He was main event. He was WrestleMania. He was So it's a lot different. He had name recognition, you know, and like Sean Spears was just coming up. So it's a little bit different of a template when you have fame and you have it all when you have next to nothing. I mean, it's just a completely it just depends on how you are and how rabid your fan base is, honestly. That's the only way. You have to figure it out as you go along how the template actually works. There's no set plan. You can see what others have done. You can see what Cody has done. You can see what like Dustin Rhodes has done. Um, but you have to figure it out as you go along.
Yeah, it's a fair point, and it's just been said in the chat here as well. Unless you're Big Cass or Enzo, because they didn't transition well. LOL.
And I would have thought that their fan base is a lot more rabid.
Well,
You know, like
yeah.
Enzo's fan base. I mean, they're fans of his. They have to be rabid.
It's
so
a
something.
really interesting point because when we were at WrestleCon, he was there. Enzo was there, and
I'm sorry.
no, it's fine. It didn't affect me any because I couldn't care less. But he was next to Jerry
You can't
Lawler.
teach that.
Oh, you don't want to teach that. He was next to Jerry Lawler. The queue for fucking Enzo was massive, and Lawler was barely seeing anybody. I mean, that's insane. You know.
Yeah, but the question was, what was the age limit for the line? It might have been different if Lawler.
I'm not.
Val is drunk.
Yeah, and in the nicest possible way, I'm not touching that. So.
Good.
Yeah. I'm
It'll
not.
be illegal for us to touch it.
Well,
but look, Val is drunk.
I'm not Uncle Jerry, so but I love Lawler, but he's an amazing artist as well. Just FYI, but what surprised me was the
Most
queue.
definitely.
The queue difference was insane. You know, someone like an Enzo who you think has shit the bed on so many occasions and is basically a moron, had a massive queue. And there was guys like, I mean, it wasn't just Lawler. There was guys like Ted DiBiase there. There was Arn Anderson was there. Like, you know, the only people that had comparable queues to Enzo were people like Jake the Snake and Ric Flair. Like, it was insane. I don't get it. You know,
do you think that's because they know that someone like Enzo, his celebrity is very brief? Like, he's not going to be a big. I think people are looking at, like, you know, they want to be the person that got an interview, like, got an autograph from Enzo when he was still famous.
Mm-hmm. So the way I see Enzo is the music. He's the wrestling equivalent of a one-hit wonder.
I mean,
Yeah.
Tiffany's come back. I saw Tiffany's doing some stuff recently. So, I mean, Enzo, I mean, he can hang out with Virgin. They can do, I think We're Alone now, in a few years anyway.
I prefer the Weird Al. I think I'm a clone now. But it's come up in the chat that Enzo was probably cheaper, and I think that's probably right. He's definitely cheap.
That guy's giving blowjobs for cigarettes, I guarantee it.
Hello, Ray.
Oh, and then menthols as well. And he's just getting screwed over.
And Big Cass is his pimp. I'm telling you,
It's got to be, right?
I mean, I definitely see a Midnight Cowboy remake with them two.
Oh yeah. Brokeback Mountain 2. How you doing?
Oh Jesus.
Oh boy. We're going there. It's Pride Month, and we're going there. Good Lord.
True, it's true. I don't think there's any problem.
Oh, I hope this automatically censors, because I'll tell you what. Oh, this is live.
Oh, don't worry.
We're live, pal.
I know. I was going to say also, don't worry. I already have citizenship here, so it's.
Oh, good. That's fine.
Yeah.
Oh man.
He's safe.
I think just going back to the Enzo Cass thing, I actually really I liked the idea of them doing the run-in at Ring of Honor. I just didn't like the timing of it, because it was literally within an hour of Brett getting attacked at the Hall of Fame. Yeah. And I kind of feel like Ring of Honor and New Japan... Well, actually, New Japan had no idea it was going to go down. And I have that on good authority, that they literally had no idea that was going to happen. It was a Ring of Honor booking. So I feel like Ring of Honor should have pulled the plug on it and just said, look, do you know what? We'll do it a different way. Like, we'll make you a surprise team that's going to enter a match or something. And you can just make an appearance and go, we're too good for this shit, and walk away.
It's something that everyone here, because I mean, like, especially with the way, like, the coverage that you guys provide. What did you think that it should have just been cut? It should have been nixed. It should have been like, you know what, that's it. We're not doing this. Thing happened because I wasn't watching the Honor show, the Ring of Honor New Japan, from Madison Square Garden, and I remember watching it and going, you know what, they're trying to get the mainstream media from the WWE. They've done this because of what happened with Brett, not independently. So
you felt it
felt like they were jumping on a bandwagon.
That is an interesting point. I've not actually heard that said yet. I mean, we were at the Hall of Fame as it happened. We were sat pretty high up in the first tier, and the aisleway the guy ran down, I literally watched him climb over the fans' barrier, run down this aisleway between two banks of wrestlers seated, into the ring and attack Brett. And it was this horrible feeling of powerlessness, you know? Like the air just got sucked out of the room. It was horrendous. I then started getting... Sorry, go on.
So is the question, should the Hall of Fame be canceled from now on? Like, should they nix it?
What, as in don't air it? Or just air it but not have fans
or don't
in?
allow fans.
I don't have a problem with the Hall of Fame, except that the fact that there is no physical Hall of Fame. That's like saying, you know, I'm the best podcaster in the world because I say so. That's all that is. It's just recognition. Yeah, we honor these people, but it's not even a real Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
If they put a building up and then like aired the special from that building every year, I think that would be awesome.
Bring back WWE New York.
Please, no, don't do that.
Yeah, I would love to go to WWE in New York. It's the one thing that really, really annoyed me. I went to New York a few years ago, and I remember thinking, well, that went out of business. I can never see Lita randomly having a lingerie contest.
Yeah, good times.
I can't meet Jerry Lynn. I was quite annoyed.
Jerry Lynn
was always there for something.
Followed me around WrestleCon. Can I just point that out? This is absolutely 100%. We were talking to the Rock and Roll Express, and Jerry Lynn just wanders over. He came over to meet them as well.
In your pocket?
Huh? Did I have a
one?
one?
Pepperami in your pocket?
Pepperami. No. Yeah. It was so random. Like, we're just talking away to the Rock and Roll Express, look up, and there's Jerry Lynn stood there. It's like, hi, Jerry. And then later on we were talking to Sandman, who we spent half an hour talking Brexit with, and then Jerry Lynn wandered over to that as well. It's like, wait, oh, hello again. You know.
Fowl might have mentioned this before, but third person. But Fowl mentioned that he works for the government slightly, so I can't talk about certain governmental things for a certain day. But you spoke about Brexit with the Sandman.
Yes.
You've just blown my mind.
Yeah.
I'd love to be like even a fly on the wall in that conversation. Brexit.
I can honestly, right, this is how it went down. So my friend Dave and I, both part of the Gaijin Club, went across to merch available on smacktalk.co.uk. I'm getting plugs in as well. I don't give a shit.
Oh, nice.
We went across. We both wanted to meet Sandman, and so we went over to him, and he was again just stood there, you know, just loitering, and went over and like, hi, how you doing? Pleasure to meet you. Big fans, you know, all this sort of stuff. And he goes, oh, so where are you guys from? And we're like, oh, you know, UK. He goes, UK, huh? What's the deal with fucking Brexit? It proceeded into a half an hour conversation about Brexit, about Trump, about all of it. We just went on and on.
The first question out of your mouth when he said, what's the deal with Brexit? You should have been like, are you sober enough to spell it?
Oh, no way. Because do you know what? Fowler's drunk, and I'm not going to put slights on alcoholics.
Teresa, may I ask you a question?
The Sandman was born drunk.
But
this is my gimmick today. I'm the Sandman. I didn't know this, but I am.
Nice.
I'm just going to go and go outside and on my head.
Oh my god. Sorry, I've just seen an amazing comment in the chat thing. It says Brexit light enter night. Sandman. I love it. You win the internet.
That needs to go on a t-shirt.
Good night, everybody. That's amazing.
Rich, you got to start doing these like every day, man. New ideas are gonna pop up for t-shirts
don't.
like every day, like clockwork.
Do you know what? There's no time in the world for this stuff.
No, you don't. What you need, I think, yeah, the t-shirt is like that on the front and then on the back here, leaving Bognor Regis.
Why?
I don't know why. Why not?
Okay, this is why I do the t-shirts and you get drunk. So
This is true. We'll stick to what we're best at.
Right.
Oh, thank you very much for that other drink, actually.
There you go.
Right,
So right, I'm gonna stab this in the heart because I need to get my topic in. I presume I'm gonna spin the wheel, which I've done because fuck it.
You're gonna spin the wheel on yourself.
Yes, because I never get that opportunity.
You did this last time, man.
Well,
I was cheating last time.
No, because normally I'm the first one that goes, and it didn't happen this week, and I really want to have a spin where it's just me. So
He really wants his turn, damn it.
yeah,
All right, spin away, pal. That's good shit.
I've spun away, and it really wasn't that good shit. But
if you spin around too fast, you get sick, and then the ambulance turn up. It's not good.
Only when you're drunk.
Primary school wreck.
sure, I didn't want to turn. It's fine. You guys carry on. It's all good. Oh god, what the hell was my topic?
Topic was a picnic bar. It's delicious, right?
No. Anyway, actually, we've kind of almost touched on my topic, so to speak. FNAF.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I was going to talk about was AEW and New Japan crossing over. Because obviously you've got the situation with WWE putting their developmental territories everywhere. There's rumours of an NXT Japan going around, which I think is pretty certain. I imagine there's going to be like an NXT Saudi Arabia because God knows Vince needs more blood money. The question I want to posit is, do AEW take that model and go, right, we're going to put ourselves in league with New Japan, with AAA, with different they've already got relationships there. Do they then expand on those almost in a global force wrestling kind of a way, or do they stand themselves alone and kind of go, if you want to be with us, you're with us. If not, you're against us?
I got this one. I think that AEW can stand on their own 2 feet. They've done it so far. They got the TV deal by themselves. I mean, I'm sure that it helped having the star power of Jericho. Yes, he's welcome. It helped having the stars that they had, and it's a good selling point, no doubt about it. But they had Tony Khan in their back pocket. This is someone that has more money times 5 than Vince McMahon. So it's not even a financial thing. So I think they would have been fine regardless. They don't need anybody, but I feel like, they're such fans of the wrestling business that they will bring in their friends. They still have, they got Ibushi over in New Japan. Kenny cried. He cried real man tears because he missed Ibushi and he knew he'd come. And if they can bridge that gap, that would make Kenny happy, right? And that would make New Japan money. New Japan is still trying to push into the American market. Yes, they have access, but not everybody has access. So to have, New Japan stars on TNT, like they did back in the 90s, with Jushin Thunder Liger and, Great Muta and stuff like that, it's exposure to their business. It's profitable for them, especially while trying to push into an American market. It just makes all the sense in the world to team up with AEW because they are going to be 100 times more exposure to their product than Ring of Honor will ever be, because Ring of Honor doesn't want to grow. They have a billionaire backing them in Sinclair Broadcasting, but they don't want to grow as a company. They want to stay right where they are. They're in that happy medium, while AEW is shooting, pointing the gun right at Vince McMahon saying, let's go. I mean, that's just where you got. I mean, if you were, New Japan, where would you want to go? Would you want to go to the top or just stay where you are?
Makes sense.
Because Ring of Honor isn't trying to push the New Japan product, anything past Access or local stations or whatever. So aim for the stars, New Japan. I'm all for you going with AEW. But to answer the question, no, AEW needs no one.
Right. Fair point.
Complete. Finish.
Scene.
I know I ranted there.
No, it's good.
Winded.
We do like your rants. And no one's brought up Baron Corbin yet.
I'm like blown up like Warrior right now, like running to the ring.
The plane crashing into the mountain.
He's already been brought up this week. He can go away.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that.
It's all right. Dana's got pride.
Go on.
I was actually gonna say, like, totally agree with 8-Bit Ray there. Like, totally. Like, you know, New Japan. I've noticed something that they're doing on Twitter at the moment, where they're kind of being a bit cheekier. The New Japan Pro Wrestling Global account. They put a message up last week saying something like, "We know there's no wrestling on Monday night, so just for this free match that we've just put up." I'm like, "Oh, yo, you guys are being cheeky as well." Like.
And
That
what
was so
was
good.
great was Velveteen Dream quote tweeted.
Yeah, Dream fired back.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
And then
The whole dream thing.
Yeah,
like,
Dream-
being so open.
Dream,
My
I think,
God.
had to apologise or something, didn't he? Or he had to delete the tweet.
I think so. Yeah, he had to delete and apologize, but he did fight. That's why I screen shotted it and showed it to a couple of friends. Like, you guys need to see this now.
Yeah, you showed it to me. It was hilarious.
Yeah, but you also have Scott Dawson quoting Tamatonga, because they challenged the Revival and all this, and they said, you know where we are, and the Revival's like, well, you know where we are, and it's never going to go anywhere. There's never going to be a cross-promoted match or anything like that. But still, they're still talking and bullshitting on Twitter. It's entertaining, if anything.
Oh yeah,
I mean, the
100%.
whole thing as well with Triple H. I mean, Triple H, yeah, inserting himself into Bullet League, going over to Japan. My God. And that whole video with him sitting on the throne, the one that Cody's destroyed. I was like, oh my God, you're having so much fun, aren't you, Hunter? You're having so much fun doing this.
Well, I mean, what he? Go ahead.
The Bullet. No, sorry, go on. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing that someone like Triple H would say, you know what, yeah, I see what you guys have done. Screw you, because I own your whole deal. I own your whole gimmick. I'm gonna go and Too Sweet everyone I want. And Tamatonga then actually, I think quote tweeted him and said, "Hey brother H, we've got a T-shirt ready for you whenever you need it here in Japan." Like, there is that kind of working almost under the radar between both companies.
It is interesting because, I mean, there's been the direct kind of conversation between.
Russo,
Oh, hello. What the fuck is that? Is any... Okay. Either Bray Wyatt's got hold of the stream or something weird's going on, but that was a lot of random noises there. We have any other humans around? Hello. Oh! Uh-oh. Right, there's a lot of static and a lot of nothing. Oh, and someone's gone. Val's gone. Oh dear.
Alright, there we go.
Ah, good.
Okay, there we go.
Right, we're back.
Oh my God, we all got canceled.
That's
hey,
weird.
my speakerphone popped on. Sweet.
That was a bit weird, wasn't it?
That all went a bit crazy for a minute there.
Yeah.
God bless live entertainment, folks. So,
Live TV.
You got the 10-second delay, pal.
can we do that again? It's live, pal.
Okay, I'll go dance around over here. Wait, have I just become, I can't remember his name now, it's totally gonna screw me over. Chicken Wing?
What?
Chicken Wing?
Chicken Wing.
Oh, Bob Backlund?
But that's it, yeah.
I was
Bob
going to say
Backlund.
Marty
Have I just
Scurll.
become Bob Backlund?
Well, I've lost entirely where we were.
We were talking about AEW needing quote unquote promotions like New Japan and AAA.
Oh, you were talking about Triple H
and then we got into the Triple H Bullet Club situation.
Cool. Yeah. So the point I was going to raise about that was there's been a lot of back and forth, as I think Fowl mentioned, with with Tamatonga, the Bullet Club, talking to Carl Anderson, to Luke Gallows, to Finn Balor, all those guys, even Sasha Banks, and various people. So there's always that kind of back and forth. And what we got to remember is a lot of these guys know each other personally anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So 9 times out of 10, as fans, we're getting worked. You know, that's the thing. The important thing to remember is we are probably going to get
Vince
worked.
Russo would say, "It's a work, bro. You're all getting worked."
At
At the end of the day, isn't that what we want? Is we want to get worked?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to get wrapped up in the fantasy. That's what wrestling has always been. But
Yep.
Just as
I love to not next. I love that every single time. I love being worked. It's what being a wrestling fan's all about.
It definitely is. And it's the important part is if you lose that connection to being able to be worked, then you're not a fan anymore. You're just going through the motions, to be honest. Interesting you brought up Russo because I watched I listened to rather an old podcast from way back in the day with Kevin Kelly on it, talking about the Owen Hart incident. And it's kind of given me a whole new view of Vince Russo that I didn't have before. This is a total divergence of topics, but fuck it, it's my show. So Kevin talked about Russo and Owen being really good friends, and how, you know, that whole spot with the harness and everything else happened. But Russo felt so guilty about it that was a massive contributing factor as to why he left WWF. Because he couldn't cope with the guilt. Apparently so. I mean, this is a podcast from like 2006, I think. So it's way back. But it was just incredible. Like I'd never thought about that, you know, because there was the whole angle in TNA when Russo went there and Roddy Piper said that you killed Owen and all that sort of stuff. You know, I mean that's something that's never going to escape him.
When did Russo become born again? Because it must have been at some point after that.
Fucking never.
No.
If you watch Dark Side of the Ring, if you watch the great the Moolah episode, Jim Cornette and him are just beefing back and forth. They're not even in the same room. They're the same old, they're the same old fucks they've always been. They're not reborn. They're just miserable old shits.
Well, the thing is, some people when they're born again, I believe that they're born again. Some people, I feel like it's another gimmick. And I don't want to go around naming people because Fowl is drunk and I don't want to get myself involved in anything hilarious. Someone's just said HBK in here. HBK, I love HBK. Yeah. But...
Take that Saudi money, pal.
That's that Saudi money.
Yeah.
Hey, man, don't matter how old you are. Because, But I love the fact that there's some people who truly are born again. There's some people who've taken it as a religious, thing. Some people have taken it as a gimmick. I mean, Hogan is the person that I believe took it as a gimmick. I mean, hey man, if you join the NWO, you can join the. I can't make something that's not going to be offensive right now in my mind, but he can join. So I think that what's really annoying is that Vince Russo especially, I believe some things he's truly sorry for, but some things were screw it, man. It's ratings. I don't care. I did what I needed to do for that week, and I'm Owen thing. I think part of that is I know I've heard that they were really good friends, but I don't know how much of it was like, well, you're just another prop, you're another stunt man. I don't really care.
See, this is interesting. It's come up in the chat that apparently Russo had nothing to do with the Owen Hart angle. Apparently that's been called as a lie. Now, I don't know whether that's true or not because, as I say, this has come direct from Kevin Kelly, who was there at the time it happened. I've also obviously spoken to Jim Corderas a couple of weeks ago, and while I didn't want to bring up the incident itself, we talked about Owen's life and the memories of that. Obviously, there is the story that Jim was the referee that was in the ring at the time Owen fell, and allegedly Owen shouted to him to get out of the way as he fell so that he wouldn't hit him. There's all sorts of horrifying details of this incident. I don't want to cover them because, I just don't think it's the right thing to do. I just think when you've got people, you've got to remember it's human beings that are involved in this. Whether wrestling aside, these are real people with real friendships, real lives, and it's going to affect them. You've got, I mean, the footage of Over the Edge 99 is out there with Jeff Jarrett and Deborah trying to cut a promo backstage with Kevin Kelly, literally as Owen's being taken past on a stretcher, being given CPR. And they're trying to get their promo out because obviously the show must go on, pal. There's talk about, and again, Kevin Kelly mentions in this old podcast where he was saying about there was no thought to cancel the show because there was no time to cancel the show. You know, everyone was frantically doing what they thought was best.
I don't know how many of you have heard the Grilling JR episode about it.
Yeah.
I recently listened to that, and my God, I was crying. I was sitting there listening to it, and you can hear when JR is like, I want to talk about this one time.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do this one time, and I never want to think about it ever again.
Yeah.
And I've never felt such emotion from someone before, because you can hear JR in the background saying, I really don't want to talk about this, but I need to do it. And he's dying, and you can hear him. It really affected him. And the amount of people that have gone back at it later on and said, well, they continued the show, well, that's fine. I know that someone like JR would have done that professionally.
Yeah.
But my God, what a decision to make on the night.
The really strange thing with JR as well was prior to that, and it's something I quoted, was he said on his own, I think it was one of his own streams or something, he said about why do people focus on the gory details? Like, it's all he ever gets asked about is Mick Foley going off the cell and Owen. You know, in his illustrious career, that's all he ever gets asked about. And he said, why do people always focus on the gory negatives, you know? And it felt to me like, as you said, he didn't want to talk about it. But it's important to do one solid documentation of that so that people don't keep asking about it, you know? Interestingly as well, during the broadcast of Over the Edge, when he's making the announcement, and they've talked about Owen, you know, and all this sort of thing, and tragic accident, blah, 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 and then they go on to the next match, JR actually says on commentary, unfortunately, the show must go on. He actually says, unfortunately. And I think that's a really telling indictment of what he felt about that.
I mean, I wanted to actually bring this up, but there was a show that happened in London a few months ago. Excuse me, drunk foul. Sorry, a few months ago, and there was a wrestler that died in the ring. He passed away. I think partway through the show, and they cancelled the show. They cut the show right there and then. They said, let's end it. Let's just move on with what's going on. Everyone go home, and that's the end of the angle. I mean, I wanted to ask you folks here, do you think that night, and I mean, I know that it's looking back 2020 hindsight, do you think that night they should have ended it? Do you think that at that point they should have said, you know what, let's draw a line under the sand. Let's just end the show. I know that there's people that are going to that paid for the pay-per-view or whatever, but we made so much money recently that drawing a line under the show and saying, we're going to end it right now, do you feel like that would have been the thing to do? Or do you think they went the right way? There's no precedent for it.
No. Go on, Ray.
I've been watching wrestling since I was 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never seen them cancel a show due to injury and or death. And if you look at it, you know, wrestling is a hope giver. So when, you know, like when 9/11 happened and then they had SmackDown 2 days later, you know, that kind of said, you know, it set an example. You know, it gave people hope that you can go to public assembly, you can do these things. So canceling the show would have been the complete wrong thing to do. And it's not even from a business point of view. Yeah, you would have lost a little money. You know, you would have still owed pay-per-view. You still would have owed the venue, the wrestlers, everything. But you can't just send people home with that image in their brain. You have to give them, you know, a stone cold stunner in a beer bath or, you know, something like that. You have to give them some sort of feeling. You can't leave them numb. So canceling the show, no. I think they made the right call and kept going as tough as it was. And I was watching live that night. I used to record all the pay-per-views. And when JR said Owen Hart has died, I stopped the recording and had to rewind because I couldn't believe it. And I'm just left there like, wow, this man just died in the ring. and I'm still in shock. But the show went on, and it kind of alleviated that shock. So no, for them to continue the show, I think was the right call in the end.
I mean, you know, because the thing is back at that time, and I spoke about this on my show a few times, youtube.com/. But I spoke about this a few times.
Chill.
Puts a plug in when talking about Owen Hart's death. That's disgusting. I'm gonna mute your ass.
I know it's really bad, but you know, I ate some Canadian goods the other day, so it's totally fine. Craft dinner. But what I was gonna say was, I spoke about this a few times. If you'd ended the show there, what could you have done? Like it live at the time became a big deal here in the UK in the year 2000 when it was everywhere. If that had happened in 2000, different story. I remember someone coming in on Monday morning and saying, "Hey man, this wrestler died last night," and I was like, "Yeah, whatever lie you're thinking about right now." Do you think it was legit? Do you think this was another Russo kind of scheme to get me to watch tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw?
Oh, I don't think that needs to be posited, to be honest. I think you can just we just need to take it that a tragic accident happened, and basically that, you know, regardless of how it came to be, it shouldn't have come to be. I don't think you need to look at, like, it's like the Benoit thing, you know, when he no-showed at Vengeance, and then obviously they did the tribute show, and then during the tribute show, the fact that it was a double homicide-suicide came out. I don't think you need to think too deeply on these things. I think it's just take it that something tragic has happened. You know, leave it alone. Just move forward. Like, remember, you know, as I say, when I talked to Jim Calderas, it was, let's remember the good things about Owen's life, you know, and not worry too much about this. People are going to always talk about it. Fair enough. It's like the Titanic, or, you know, any event like that that's so shocking. But in terms of what ifs, and obviously, you know, we started off this channel with a massive what if, but in terms of what ifs, I don't think you need to worry too much about, was it some, you know, could it have been used as some insipid angle to watch the next night, or any of that stuff. I don't think that's something that's worth even considering as an option.
I totally agree. Agree. I mean, the point I wanted to try to say was, at that time, the way the angles were working, how many people would have thought that's just wrestling? Instead of it being used later on, how many people, that's just part of the show? I know a lot of audience were.
Yeah. The initial reaction to it was that it was part of the show, because people didn't realise. And apparently, again, according to what I've read and listened to, no announcement was made in the arena that Owen had passed away. It was only for the fans at home. It was, and according to some sources that were actually there, they said that they spoke to the Fink at ringside afterwards, like, and said, "What, is Owen all right?" And he had to tell them no, he's passed away. So,
oh wow,
you know, let's move off this, because we're actually well over time now. Obviously, like to end these things on positives, and you know, we've gone through a massive negative there, and let's end it on a positive. So, amongst you all, who would you like to give shout outs to that doesn't normally get one?
I'm going to shout out my two co-hosts on DYWTSB, Pops and Queen.
Cool.
It's quite honestly, my Wednesdays when we get together to record the weekly show is part of my highlight of the week. Even when WWE, like it was this week, is utter shit. talking to those two about the utter shit is a highlight of the week.
Nice. There you go. Who else? Ray.
Yeah, like to give a shout out to, and we're not wrestling podcasts, we're actually geek culture podcasts, but we just started a network. It's GWA All Stars, Geek World All Stars. You can follow us on Twitter at @stars_geek. Like to give a shout out to all the shows on there. That would be Cult 45 Podcast, So Wizard Podcast, Superhero Speak, Fans on Patrol, and Pod Prison Power. And that is an all-girl podcast. Yes, we have an all-girl podcast.
Nice. There you go. Fowl?
And that
Oh,
also
hang on.
includes my show, the Gorilla Brain Podcast.
Of course. Yeah, you can't forget yourself.
Forgot myself.
Oh my god. Put yourself over, man.
I mean, well, I'm going to jump in here and obviously put myself over first. So number one, go to remote wrestling. Drunk foul. Go to @remote wrestling for everything where we delve into what else wrestles your remote. That's available on old podcast places. But you can also go to @foul and to check out all the random things I'm doing. I actually like to give is to, I'm just checking this on my Twitter now, is GGVision88. A guy called Nicholas, and he does unrelated content and also wrestling related content. He's a really good dude. Go check him out on YouTube. His stuff is smart, really funny. He does a show where he kind of breaks down Raw and SmackDown and other stuff. Go check him out. Go check him out. He's a really, really funny guy, and he would really appreciate your support. He's got a Patreon as well.
There you go. And I'm just going to quickly shout out Martin Lemus, who has literally been inundating the chat through this entire hour and 15 minutes that we've been running for. And he says the last thing he sent, apart from son of a bitch, was, Ray better shout me out. I'm in the hospital with heart issues. So I'm going to shout him out because
Oh damn.
guy's a hero.
Shout him out
Okay,
as well. I know about the heart issue situation. My heart belongs to him right now.
Okay, so I've known Martin Lemus since I was 16 years old. I'm 34 now, so 18 years. And he's one of my best friends in the world. And yes, he is in the hospital right now with congestive heart failure and stuff like that. And I love you, and I hope you get better. And just do what the fucking dietitians say, you bastard.
No more red meat for you.
He says he stopped watching Mrs. Doubtfire for you. Can you imagine?
Wow, that's pure love, man.
Right?
If he just said he stopped watching Liar Liar, then I think he's in love with me. But now, Mrs. Doubtfire, that's a big step for him.
Huge,
Wow.
huge. I mean, I don't stop watching Mrs. Doubtfire for anybody. So, you know.
I mean, anytime it's on Channel 4, I have to.
Oh, man. Well, piss off, Lou. And, right, let's get this thing tied off, shall we? So, thanks all for joining us. Thank you, Fowl. Thank you, 8-Bit Ray. Thank you, Mort, for coming on board with this absolute fill in your own adjective in the blank
Oh,
show. And our first live one. Hopefully everyone enjoyed it.
Fuck?
The hell was that? Anyway.
Blankety blank, blankety blank.
Tag.
blankety
Oh
blank,
god, we've got the
blankety
blankety blank theme song now. Anyway, I think this could be a thing. If people enjoy it and want us to do more of these live interactive fans roundtables, I think we could make this work. So let us know on Twitter. Follow us at @SmackTalk_UK. Give us a tweet. Give us a bit of a nudge and say, "Hoi, we want this and we want to be involved in it." All good. We'll bring it. The next episode dropping on Tuesday will be our interview from this morning with Carmen Gloria, who was better known as Captain Vasquez on Lucha Underground. So you can check that out from Tuesday night. Yes. Fantastic interview. She's led an incredible life so far and is still kicking ass, and you'll hear all about that on Tuesday. So looking forward to letting everyone hear that one. Again, thank you to Fowl, thank you to Mort, thank you to 8-Bit Ray. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and buy merch from smacktalk.co.uk, because everything you buy helps us provide more unique and diverse content like this clusterfuck. So,
I'm sorry that the wind was here, but I hope that I all blew you away.
Oh God! Well, on that, to quote Jeremy Clarkson, on that bombshell, all that leaves to say is thank you for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.